Hi everyone. Happy Friday. It's been a long week, so I'm glad that we get to drink some wine together. Thank you for joining us. Pretty soon we will have Clyde Beffa. Here he is. Oh no, he has to request to join us. Well, he's around. I'm sure he'll request soon. So Clyde's going to join us today, and he has picked out 5 wines, six. We're going to talk about 6 wines tonight that really are special because they came to us via Mark Levin. And Mark Levin is a wholesaler that's been working with K&L for a long time, and he was a special friend of Clyde, and this is sort of a tribute to him. So, here he is. Here's Clyde.
Can you see? Hi, Kate.
Hi, how are you?
How are you?
Good. Happy Friday.
Yes. So we've got some good wines to taste today.
We do.
And it's not only Bordeaux today. Okay, we can do one of those next week or so.
Mm-hmm.
But today I kind of talking about Mark Levin, a good friend of K&L and a very good friend of the family here, myself, and good friend of Todd's. And his part in K&L, he passed away, about 10 days ago. And he is the single most important non-K&L person to bring direct buying to K&L. And he badgered me for years back in the 80s. You got to bring direct, you got to buy direct. Okay, and finally Todd and I said, okay, Mark, we give up. We'll try it, And so our first big trip was in 1991. And what we're going to do today is taste 5 wines and talk about 6 wines that Mark had a direct influence on bringing to K&L. And these are wines that we carry now. And there must be another 40 or 50 in stock now that we've carried back since the late 80s and 90s, what we call direct buys. Maybe somebody doesn't know what a direct buy is, but a direct buy basically, in our instances, we try to buy it as close to the producer as possible, the grower if possible, or an agent of the grower, but not to go through a system that is normal in the USA where you go from a grower to an exporter, to an importer, to a wholesaler, and finally to you, and everybody takes a hit. Okay, so we try to bring good value on all these wines, and I think the wines we're tasting today are excellent values. In fact, all these wines are direct from the producer to K&L.
Yeah, Mark was a smart man because I always think of the direct buy program as sort of the backbone of K&L. We have wines from all over, from all different types of producers, but having that direct relationship with winemakers and distillers lets us do a lot of value, but also just we know these people over decades, so there's just a really special relationship and stuff that you don't find anywhere else. So
yeah, and a lot of these wines you won't find in your local stores or anywhere else in the United States. There may be a few that you'll find, but over the years, since 1991, we've become known as probably one of the premier direct buy companies in the United States. And maybe we should start tasting a couple of these and talk a little bit about the wines. These are all different areas of France. These are France, but we have a huge program direct buy from Italy, and Greg St. Clair, Gary Westby, and all the champagnes. I bet 75% of all our champagne is direct buy. And Keith in the South, Alex, Burgundy, myself in Bordeaux. That's a little bit different, okay? But let's start with champagne, because everybody starts with champagne, right? And I've got actually got a champagne glass this time, okay?
Well, cheers.
And we can talk about the wine we have in the glass. And this is, I don't know if you can see it, Pierre Mineral Brut. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's called Prestige Brut. And this is from Philippe Gonet, the company, and the lady that runs it is Chantel. a very good friend of Mark and myself for the last 25 years or so. We're not tasting this because we don't have any to taste. We drank it all over the holidays, but we do have a bunch coming in. This is their special cuvée, Philippe Gonet Belemnita, 2008. This is Côte Menil. This vineyard for Belemnita is next door to Salon. This wine sells for $149 a bottle. Salon sells for over $600 a bottle.
Yeah, and I mean, to have the Pierre Mineral for $29.99 from the same producer is phenomenal.
Pierre Mineral basically is Philippe Gonet with a different label, okay? Because there's exclusivities on the Gonet label in the United States. This is a way that we can carry the wine with a different name. We do that with quite a few different wines. But I think for $29.99, the wine is pretty spectacular. I got to find it bready, a little bready in the nose.
A lot of texture.
Yeah, clean, crisp, focused. Not a heavy style.
No, not at all. It's kind of got that citrusy, like panettone kind of, that's like a sweet dough to it, but very bright and light. Right. Gorgeous.
And I'm not spinning that right now, okay, because I'm off after I get through with this.
It's Friday.
It's Friday. And the Gonet will be back in the Belemnita 2008, and we'll do a big program on that. But we sold out of the cases that came in, and that wine is spectacular, And both of these do very well with a little caviar. So. And
the Belemnita is a Blanc de Blanc, right?
Yes. Yeah. And Belemnita, what does Belemnita mean? I mean, a lot of these names on these different French wines, you ask the people, what do they mean? They go, I don't know what the name is. But Belemnita, I guess, means a fossilized squid that's in the chalk of the vineyard down to about 120 feet deep. So the wine is quite chalky, the Gonet. You've got to try a bottle of Belemnita. I know it's 150.
Well, I don't know if this is happening on both for everybody, but I'm getting that you're freezing a little bit.
Drinking sparkling wine. So we're going to go. You probably hear my dog and one of my dogs in the back out there.
Is that Sadie? Well, we've got you. It looks like we're, let's see. So everybody out there, are we paused for you? Looks like we've got a connection issue. Okay, well, let's see if he comes back. What's going on here? Okay. I'm going to send him a request. We'll see what's going on. What are you guys drinking tonight?
Are we back?
Yep, we're back.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Let's go on to the next wine. Is that okay?
Sure.
We're going to go into the Loire Valley. And the last time I did one of these, we talked about Franc Malais Insolite. And this wine is the Sancerre. Well, you have it right there in the picture, Sancerre Cherrier Frere. Mark introduced me to Francois and Agnes Cherrier in about 1996 or so. And ever since then, we've been carrying their wine. It's one of our go-to Sancerres. It sells for less than $20, $18.99, I think. And when you talk about Sancerre, happens to be one of our biggest categories right now because the wines are clean, crisp, affordable. If not so oaky like some of the California wines, but this wine in the 2019, especially, is a great vintage. Okay. So. Can you hear me, Kate?
I can hear you. Yeah, we have a lot of good Sancerre right now.
Okay. Amazing. And Mark Levin, not only this one, Aurore Dozat, he introduced to us, Eric Cotat, Tabordet, Frank Malais. There was a lot that that Mark brought to KNL in the direct buy of Sancerre.
Yeah, that we're still working with.
Yeah, this one, very citrus in the nose. I think a little white blossom. Floral a little bit too, and mineral, good minerality. 2019, I love the wines of Sancerre, much better than 2018, I think, because they're very crisp and clean, but they have this floral characteristic also.
Yeah, very pretty, and you definitely get a little bit of that chalky minerality to it.
Right, yeah, I mean, I don't know how you can beat, a wine for under $20 for every day. We drink a lot of Sancerre here. I don't know if you do down there. We're kind of off the Chardonnay kick a little bit and into, unless we get some Chablis in or something like that. And this wine, I think, is clean, refreshing, easy to drink. And we just got in another 100 cases of it, so we'll have it for a while.
Unless everybody buys it up.
Right. So Sancerre area and Champagne. Also, Mark brought us a lot of Burgundy wines. We don't have any right now. He also brought us into Alsace. The next wine I'm going to taste is a Bordeaux. Okay. The Bordeaux, Latour de Bie.
So I decanted that per your instructions.
Okay. Yeah.
When I opened it was
this label, Latour de Bie. It's the KNL selection, special selection Latour de Bie. Bordeaux is a little bit different in buying direct because most of the chateaus go through a negotiant system. And we buy, from the chateau to the broker to the negotiant to us. So we avoid a few layers. But on a few occasions, we buy direct. This wine we started, Latour de Bie, was the first time we bought it was in 1978. Back in the days of a good friend of mine, Eddie Hand Truck Lefcourt, okay? And he brought this wine, and we carried it for 5 to 10 years, and then it kind of got lost in the shuffle. And poor Eddie passed away in the 90s. And it just got brought back to our attention thanks to Mark Levin, okay? And he goes, you've got to go to this property. And I go, I know this property very well. It's very well situated, Latour de Bie. It's in the very north part of the Medoc, by Saint-Estèphe, just north of Saint-Estèphe, near our good friends at Couffran and Bertignan. And there's good value wines made up in that area. This is a 2016, which is a great vintage in the north of the Medoc. Extremely fruity nose that you get on the wine. Now you decanted it. I didn't decant mine, so mine's going to be a little bit harder, but it's still showing very elegant, I think.
Yeah, I mean, after it's only been in the decanter for about an hour, but it's so open and still.
Yeah, and the 2016s are so lively, and the wines are going to age well for a long time. They're not too sweet, and they're not too tannic. This wine, I think, is just right there. And the little story about why it's called KNL Special Selection. Okay. The wine is sold on the open market in France as Latour de Bie. And several negotiants sell the wine. We have a special relationship with the property, thanks to Mark Levin. And they made a special KNL Cuvée for us. I would bet if you tasted both of the wines together, it'd be very close or very similar. Okay. The only difference is we can sell this wine for a lot less money than the regular. And so this wine sells for under $20, so $19.99. And we have their top of the line wine, Mark Page's, for $29.99 with the black label. That's just a step up, and he just got 92 points from one of the wine raters.
Which is still a great price on this wine.
Yeah. $19.99 Bordeaux. I mean, we know with I love California Cabernets, but you don't find too many $19.99 California Cabernets running around.
Right.
So Bordeaux. We had to have a Bordeaux in there, of course, so that's my specialty. And so then we can move on to the next two wines, which are from. Let's get the Ventoux out there.
Okay, here we go.
For the 2019 Ventoux.
Also an excellent vintage in the Rhone, right?
Yes, fantastic, and it's a gold medal in Paris. and it's the Old Vines Cuvée Raphael. Okay, this wine is made by Alain Corsia. Alain Corsia, Mark introduced me to Patricia and Alain Corsia on our trip in 1991 on what we call the buying trip, direct buying trip that we took, Mark and I and Jim Barr, the late Jim Barr, and another friend of Mark's, and we went 2 weeks all the way around from. We didn't go to Champagne, but we were in Burgundy, Sancerre, Rhone, Southwest, and ended up in Bordeaux. This wine, we met Alain Corsia back in those days, and he was selling Burgundies and Rhones. This is a French regional, it's a Rhone, basically, French regional Ventoux, and it's called Cuvée Raphael. It's 99% Petite Syrah, because you can't have a wine called Ventoux if it's 100% of Grenache or Petite Syrah. Okay, so they put 99%. Yeah. Cuvée Raphael. Raphael is their youngest child, who is about 26 years old, 27 right now. When we first met with Alain Corsia, Raphael was just a twinkle in their eye. Okay, so and I saw Raphael. He came to Calistoga last year, and now he's getting his degree in winemaking, and he's gung ho to follow in the steps of his dad and mom. And so this used to be called Cuvée Patricia, but now it's called Cuvée Raphael. What I like, well, besides the price of $11.99, I mean, right. It's ridiculously low price. The wine is so spicy and so peppery from that. From the Syrah.
And it's full-bodied, and it's got sort of a chocolatey note too.
Yeah, it's got some chocolate. It's sweet. Like you say, it's a great vintage in the Rhone. And this wine for $11.99, this is your everyday hamburger wine or whatever. You can have it with anything, because you can't have it with fish, I would say, but you can.
Ribs would be good, I think.
Pardon?
Ribs would be great with this.
Yeah, anything with a spicy flavor and everything like that. So the Alain Corsia has sold us so many different cases of wine through the years. Like I said, a lot of Burgundies, and we bring in wines over the last almost 30 years now. And I think actually it'll be 30-year anniversary with Alain and Patricia this year.
Wow.
Unfortunately, Mark and I won't be able to go together again to see them. But I just think that the wine is a knockout, and heck, it won a gold medal at Paris. It's got to be great, for sure. Right?
Yeah, and for $11.99, you can buy it by the case.
For sure. Do you want to go on to the next wine?
Sure, I have a question. I'm wondering, so you were doing all the buying up until about 2000, right? What made you decide that you need buyers?
We started, when Todd and I started in 1976, we just had our 45th anniversary, December 31st. We sold a lot more this December 31st than we did that first December 31st. Okay. We sold more cigarettes back then in 1976, though. We were, what was the question again on that?
Oh, so when did you decide that you needed to bring in buyers?
Well, when we started, Todd was in the liquor business before I got into. Then we started KNL. He bought all of the liquor, and he said, you can buy all the wine. So that happened for quite a few years, until about 1990, when Josu Gelder came on board with us, and he started buying old wine. But I was still buying all the other wines.
Yeah.
And I was only interested in certain areas of Europe. And so we had to find other buyers to buy the wines, and we found Greg St. Clair in the 90s, and he bought the Italian. He's one of our best. We have the best selection of Italian wines, I think, in the United States, thanks to Greg.
Yeah, he's got an anniversary coming up, doesn't he? 25 years, something like that.
Yeah, for sure. And then Gary came in as Champagne in about 2001. And I remember my first words to Gary said, you go to Champagne and you find all these different properties that we can buy direct.
Mm-hmm.
And so we don't have to sell, some of these national brands at, when we're fighting against, Safeway and stuff like that. And brands that aren't worth the money that they sell for, find the grower. So Champagne and Italy took off, then Burgundy, and then Moulin started with the Rhone, and we did Jim Chanteloup and Pickett was doing buying wines for us in different categories, Spanish one and the Commonwealth, and I just kind of shed all the other categories except Bordeaux. So I kept Bordeaux, and I have a lot of help too with Ryan Moses buys a lot of Bordeaux and Trey buys some, and so that's my the last thing. But I still like to go to all the other properties that we visited over the years and meet the different people that we've been doing business with since, basically they were very young. Well, I was actually young too, but now, speaking of that, going to the last wine, which is Moulin de Gardette, Gigondas.
It's the Cuvée Ventabren.
And that's a Cuvée Ventabren. The story about this wine is fascinating, I think. Also, the fact that this is a 2018 Gigondas Cuvée Ventabren. When we first met in 1991, Jean-Baptiste Meunier, he had just started. His dad was sick and said, you have to go and make the wines now and everything. And so he was just getting going. And we had a bottle of 2000 Ventabren over Christmas Day with a cassoulet. And it ranks as one of my top 5 wines that I've had all year of 2020.
Really?
The wine was unbelievably delicious. It was just so sweet and lovely. 20-year-old Gigondas. I think this wine's going to be right there.
Yeah, absolutely. This is delicious.
And in 20 years from now, I'll be 95, and I probably might not be doing these broadcasts anymore. But who knows?
Who knows?
But this wine in 18, it's got recognition. We brought this wine in. We met Jean-Baptiste. He has a little wine shop in Gigondas still. And he had it for years, right on the square. If you ever go to the town, it's a beautiful little town, and you can see the little wine shop. And I think it's Agnes is still working for him there for all these years. But he was struggling, and you're not going to go to a fancy winery when you go to Moulin de Gardette. You're going to go to a building with a bunch of barrels and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But the wines have gotten better and better all along, and he was having a hard time selling his wines when we first met, and we finally got them on track, and he is making some great wines. This wine just got was it 96 points from Decanter or something like that?
I think so, yeah. Or was it Jeb Dunn? I don't remember.
It was, and this is a 70% Grenache wine.
This is also Keith Mabry's Wine of the Year.
Is it the wine of the year for Keith?
2020. Mm-hmm.
Great, because this is 70% Grenache, and you get the raspberry from the Grenache in it. Yeah, and it's got 20% Syrah, so you still got the black pepper spice.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like figgy. I get some like ripe fig notes.
Yeah, and this wine is, this is for 80 to 100-year-old vines. Mm-hmm. When Jean-Baptiste started making wine, he had 3 labels. It was very confusing. They all had the same exact look on the labels. One said Cuvée Classic, the other one said Cuvée Tradition, the other said Cuvée Ventabren. Mm-hmm. We're going, it's too confusing to the people. We got him down to 2. Okay, so he has the Tradition, which is his normal wine, and then the Ventabren is from the oldest vineyards and stuff like that. So we've got him to, the Tradition is always a great wine. This wine, we're selling for $39.99, I think. Mm-hmm. And $39.99 for all of this wine. And I'll tell you what, this wine, put it away for 10 to 15 years. It'll be fantastic. They say that Rhone wines don't age so well. I don't agree. Some of these do great. And sometimes these Gigondas do better than Chateauneuf du Pape.
Oh, really? You think so?
Yeah, I would think for sure. But now a cassoulet would go great. The 2000 was off the charts with the cassoulet, but this would be fine too. Or with a stew or anything like that.
Yeah, I have a beef stew on the stove. This is going to go with.
I'm going to have it tonight with pork chops.
Yum.
Well, I'll have a little bit of all these.
And it's so floral too. I get a lot of violet notes.
Yeah.
Really pretty.
I don't know did you decant yours? I didn't decant this one either.
I had it open for an hour. I didn't decant it though.
Yeah. I mean, you could stand a little decant. You know, there's some people in Europe say don't decant anything, and I don't believe that. I think that some wines need to be decanted. You know, you're talking about young wines at 18, 19, and even the 16 Bordeaux's.
Yeah.
A little bit of air helps them out a little bit.
Yeah, I noticed.
Even old wines. We had a bottle the other day of a 2000 Vieux Chateau Certain. It was off the charts, but it took about an hour to open up.
Yeah, even with these three, I've had these three reds. I had them open up for about an hour, and each one changed and developed and got more complex.
So this is some of the wines that Mark Levin brought the KNL and brought us into the direct wine. And I thought it would be a good tribute to him. And, you know, Mark, if you're hearing me, rest in peace. And he's probably up there negotiating right now and having to bring in some wines direct for everybody up there.
He sounds like he was a fun, big personality.
Right.
So I'm sure he's busy wherever he's at. So does anybody want to lob any questions towards us? You've got our Porto Maestro here. So if you have any questions about these wines or Bordeaux or K&L in general, we're here. Let me look through.
Everybody's at a loss for words.
It says someone asked to put the tasting lineup somewhere. I will do that. Love the champagne tasting and value. Let's see. D. Ham Ranger said, I went to Jed with Mark Levin in the 90s at SWS.
Yes. Yeah. Right. He you know, interesting about Mark Levin, his big thing, and a lot of the people who are selling wine today should take the way he sell the wine. He worked for wholesale companies. Never on the payroll for K&L. Maybe he should have been on the payroll, but anyway, he wasn't on the payroll for K&L. But he would come in, and on these trips we would take, he would constantly be saying, you know, what can you sell this for? And what can you sell that for? Because then he would work it back and says, oh, then you can pay this. Okay. And then he would go and try to get that price for us. Okay. Mm-hmm. So he was working for a wholesaler, but he was almost, hey, this guy's on our side. You know, he's trying to get the best price possible. And I'll tell you, it's been successful. And there are a few other people that are doing it in the business today, but Mark was the first one to do that. And I know Gary talks highly about that and about what can you pay for this and what can you sell this for. But that's so important, you know, because you want to offer the people a good value. And, you know, and if they can't get it for, and if we think it's $39.99 and we can't get it to that price, we just go on and find other things. But there's a lot of wines out there in the market.
Yeah, and we have some of the best prices around. I mean, honestly, maybe I'm a little biased, but you know, the amount of $30 and under champagne that we have, I've never seen anywhere before.
No, I mean, most champagnes are $50 now.
Yeah.
You know? And I don't want to mention names or anything like that, but you know, some of the biggest selling ones, I will put them up against our $34 ones all the time. You know.
So we've got a few questions about just recapping the wines. So we've got the Pierre Mineral Champagne Brut. This is a non-vintage. This is the wine that's made by Philippe Gonet. So we also talked about the 2008 Belemnita by Philippe Gonet, which we're out of now, but it's coming back in. So
yes, it's on its way.
On its way. Then we've got the Domaine Cherrier Sancerre, the 2019. awesome vintage from Sancerre. So for all you Sancerre lovers, keep an eye out.
Load up on 19s, and they'll age. No, Sancerre, I have some bottles from 2005, 2006. If you have the great acid on the wine, it'll age.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people like the freshness of a young wine, and that's great. But sometimes it's kind of neat to bring one of the old ones out. You know?
Yeah, I bet your cellar is a fun place to explore.
It's not that big. It's not that big. It's mostly Bordeaux. It's boring.
No, that's fun. So speaking of Bordeaux, that's what we've got next. The Tour de Bie. It's a Medoc, 2016, also awesome vintage. And this is our special KL selection.
KL special selection.
The first time we've done a special selection with them, right?
First with them, yes, but we've done it with other Bordeaux properties. And I didn't mention that at one time for years we carried Biacart Salmon Brut, KL Cuvée.
That's right. I remember reading that. Yeah.
For 5 years we carried that and sold a lot of the Biacart Salmon.
I bet. That's very cool. So then we've got the Cuvée Raphael from Comte Louis Clermont. It's another stellar vintage 2019 in Ventoux in Southern Rhone.
Yeah, for the absurd price of $11.99.
Right, I should be saying the price.
There's a lot in that bottle for $11.99.
Yeah.
You know? We're getting in also on the 2019. There's another Ventoux. He makes two. And the other one, and it's very hard to tell. We told him change the label on one of them because they look exactly the same. And one is Grenache 99% and one is Syrah 99%. So this is the Syrah 99%.
Yep.
The Grenache 99% is coming. Okay.
Okay. Is that going to be in the same price point?
Exactly the same. Well, maybe it's $12.99. You know.
Okay. I see a note from Cindy saying that Julia Child loved the Medoc.
Julia Child loved the Medoc?
If she loved it, then, you know.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong. So last wine of the night, Moulin de la Gardette, the Gigondas, Ventabren, 2018.
2018.
Yeah.
2018. Drinkable now, but I'd throw it in the cellar for a little while and see what happens. And you know, with a good cellar, this wine is going to be magnificent.
Yeah, and it just keeps opening up with air. So yeah, it'll go for years, I think. So that's what we've got tonight. That's the wine show. Thank you everybody for coming. Thank you, Clyde, for doing
Next time it'll be Bordeaux. But we had to do something for Mark Levin.
Yeah, and you've got a bunch of new arrivals coming, right? So
a ton of new arrivals, and we might do one next week with some value stuff under $50 Bordeaux just coming in.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you all.
Thanks.